Can police use deadly physical force to stop a non-armed fleeing felony suspect? To find out, you have to read Tennessee versus Garner. This monumental decision grappled with the constitutionality of using deadly force to prevent an unarmed suspect's escape. But it's 22 pages. Don't have time for that? I've got you covered. This is TLDR, where I normally cover New York Court of Appeals cases in 5 minutes or less. But this is part of a limited series I'm covering on landmark cases. This is the landmark police case of Tennessee versus Garner. The citation for this case is 471 U.S. 1, was published in 1985. This pivotal case involved the state of Tennessee and Edward Garner, a 15-year-old boy. Heard in the highest court of the land, the United States Supreme Court, it posed serious questions about the use of deadly force by law enforcement officers. The parties involved were the state of Tennessee and Edward Garner, who was represented by his father. This case, as you'll see, sparked a nationwide debate on law enforcement practices. To fully understand this case, we need to grasp the background law that was in place. At the heart of the matter is the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which protects citizens from unreasonable searches and seizures. It's the shield that guards individuals' rights to privacy and freedom from arbitrary governmental intrusions. Before the Bill of Rights and the Fourth Amendment, there was a common law rule that had been firmly established. This rule allowed law enforcement officers to use any necessary force to effect an arrest. It meant that, if a suspect tried to escape or resist, an officer could use whatever means necessary, including lethal force, to apprehend them. This rule was based on the idea that every crime was a rebellion against the state, and an escaping suspect was seen as continuing their resistance to the law. It was against this backdrop that the Supreme Court had to decide Tennessee versus Garner. So what exactly happened in Tennessee v. Garner? Let's delve into the facts. On the night of October 3, 1984, Memphis police officers Elton Hyman and Leslie Wright responded to a burglary call. Upon arriving, they saw Edward Garner, a 15-year-old African-American male, fleeing the scene. Garner, who was unarmed, attempted to evade capture by scaling a chain-link fence. Officer Hyman, in pursuit, felt he could not physically restrain Garner before he escaped, so he did what he was trained to do and what was legal under Tennessee law. Tennessee law allowed the use of deadly physical force to arrest a fleeing defendant. Officer Hyman shot, aiming to stop, not kill, but the bullet struck Garner in the back of the head, ending his life. Garner's father, seeking justice, filed a lawsuit against Hyman in the city of Memphis, claiming that his son's Fourth Amendment rights had been violated, even though the actions of the officer complied with Tennessee law. The case centered on whether the use of deadly force to prevent escape was constitutionally justifiable. These events set the stage for a legal battle that would have far-reaching implications. After these tragic events, a legal journey began. The case was initially brought before a district court. The court sided with the officer, concluding that his actions were justified under Tennessee law, which allowed the use of deadly force to prevent escape. Dissatisfied with the ruling, the Garner family appealed to the United States Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. This court reversed the district court's decision, ruling that the use of deadly force in this situation was unconstitutional. The officer's attorneys, however, didn't let it rest there. They sought a review from the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. And so, the stage was set for a landmark Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court's decision in this case was a turning point. The court held that under the Fourth Amendment, a police officer may not use deadly force to prevent the escape of an unarmed, non-dangerous suspect. The court reasoned that such force is considered an unreasonable seizure. The majority opinion delivered by Justice Byron White was grounded on the principle of reasonableness at its core. The majority opinion shifted the focus to the suspect's threat level, rather than the severity of the crime. A police officer may not seize an unarmed, non-dangerous suspect by shooting him dead. That violates the Fourth Amendment. But when an officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses a threat of serious physical harm, either to the officer or others, then it does not violate the Fourth Amendment to prevent escape by using deadly force. Here, the Tennessee statute authorized deadly force based on the kind of crime, not the dangerousness of the individual. That's why they found it unconstitutional. However, the decision wasn't unanimous. Justice O'Connor, in her dissenting opinion, expressed concern for the safety of officers and innocent bystanders. She argued that the decision could potentially put them at greater risk by limiting the options available to police officers in critical situations. Despite the dissent, the decision set a new precedent, emphasizing the importance of proportionality in the use of force and shifting the focus to the suspect's threat level rather than the severity of the crime. This decision fundamentally altered the legal landscape for police use of force. The ripple effects of this case are still felt today. Tennessee v. Garner changed the landscape of law enforcement, shaping police practices across the United States. It set a precedent, establishing that the use of deadly force must be proportionate to the threat posed, a guideline that police departments nationwide now follow. This pivotal case has influenced training protocols, policy decisions, and the public's understanding of police authority. Tennessee v. Garner, a case that forever changed our understanding of police powers and the rights of suspects.
If you like what you just saw and want to see more just like it, please hit like or subscribe to let me know.